Hello indie game fans, we have yet another set of new indie game trailers to cover due to a number of smaller presentations over the past couple of days, some of which are not so indie but are of interest nonetheless. Let's begin with Swordship, a very stylish looking avoid 'em up, reversing the idea of a shoot 'em up where you need to avoid enemy attacks. The look of this title is awesome, looking pretty slick, but I do wonder how deep the gameplay systems would be. We just have a teaser trailer for the next game in the SteamWorld franchise named Headhunter, getting footage of dueling robots in a Wild West setting, where the details are that this is a full 3D co-op action-adventure shooter, looking very ambitious and different, but it's a not-so-indie title since the Thunderful Group has a market cap of something like $470 million if my calculations are correct. As part of a new initiative from the makers of physical indie games, Heaven's Machine is the first entry in Super Rare Shorts, a chaotic action roguelite that comes to us from developer Glass Revolver, who you might know from the boss rush title Ita, but if you're unfamiliar, do watch the video linked above. Interestingly, this will be a physical exclusive for 6 months, and then will be releasing on itch.io in order to preserve gaming history, where unlike other physical releases, the publisher will be making as many copies as there are orders, with the first window closing on December the 22nd, so do check it out if interested. The developer of Dandelion did reach out to me, and despite the charming visuals, both the hand-drawn cutscenes and pixel art in the overworld, this is actually a psychological horror adventure game. As expected, something is not quite right, where the developers tease that, quote, something is trying to get out, and it's never been closer, but what exactly I have no idea. Still, if you like games like Omori, One Shot, Night in the Woods, and Doki Doki Literature Club, this might be of interest, where they are planning a Kickstarter campaign, so stay tuned to the channel and I'll let you know when. I'm not quite sure how to pronounce this, whether it is Togges or Togges or whatever, but it's a wonderful looking 3D platformer where it looks like you play as the Roomba-like robot from Mario and Rabbids, exploring, platforming, and using cubes to progress further. Of course, there is a collectathon element, giving you the incentive to thoroughly explore the worlds, where the cube stacking mechanic in particular looks pretty neat. The 3D platformer is not an easy genre to come by these days, and even in the indie space, a number of recent ones were a little disappointing, and I venture to say that none of them look as good as this, despite the main character being a little nondescript. Still, the overall game looks wonderful and will be one to get next year. If you're not aware, I do have a Discord channel where you can hang out and talk indie games, link in the description, where community members are my eyes and ears in helping to discover new indie games, where needy streamer Overload was brought up by Pepperado. I'm using a little bit of an older trailer, since the new trailer is entirely in Japanese, but is an adventure game simulator that looks pretty interesting. You play as a young girl who wants to become the #1 streamer on the internet, and as is common in the live streaming space, puts on a wig and makeup and becomes a character known as OMG Kawaii Angel-chan. While I do love the pixel art and overwhelmingly pink look of this title, it does hide a darker tale since our protagonist has an endless need for approval and adoration, made worse by the whole online influencer thing, and where the insults, criticisms, and borderline stalker messages do come in as well. As such, despite the cutesy look, it does have some heavy themes and is perhaps a reflection in the mirror of modern live streaming culture.
3, 2, 1.
Okay, we've had a problem here.
Looking straight. 20 feet. 10. 3 feet per second. Contact down.
Discord member Zell Game Show described Apollo Red Moon as Doom but communism, which is pretty spot on since you play as a member of the Apollo mission, successfully landing on the moon only to be ambushed by the Soviets, who have already established a military base. As such, it is up to you to fight your way through and escape with some great looking gunplay and period appropriate inspiration for the designs of the Soviet suits and such, looking to be an all-action title that looks like a must-play to me.
This is Houston. Say again, please.
Houston, we've had a problem.
If Swery's detective adventure game, The Good Life, didn't quite do it for you, perhaps Little Kitty, Big City will, since it is an exploration title where you play as a cat, doing cat things and exploring the city as you try to find your way back home. The cat things in this looks absolutely charming, from a love of boxes, pouncing on random things, squeezing into places where you shouldn't be, climbing on things, knocking things over, and so much more. This looks like an absolutely delightful title which makes me very interested, possibly being on a level similar to Untitled Goose Game.
What is he talking about, Mama?
Our final Discord contributor in this video is Aomi, with the stylish Metroidvania entry Rose and Locket, where you play as a retired outlaw, roaming the spirit realm on a quest to rescue your daughter's spirit.
We just follow the path. Before trouble.
Although in a very different setting, the art style does remind me of Guacamelee, and as a fan of this genre, of course I give it a wishlist.
Days have turned to nights.
A game that recently cropped up and just missed my list of anticipated upcoming Metroidvanias for 2022 is Laika Age Through Blood, a self-described Western-inspired Motovania, adding in the bike element from Turbo Kid and looks pretty neat.
Sing to me the lullaby
hand-drawn art is interesting, not exactly the most readable, but it does give it a sense of style, but I do wonder what progression is like in this game. It does also come to us from developer Brainwash Gang, who are best known for the incremental roguelite platformer Non-Guns, so of course I'm down for this, taking the #1 spot. For more Metroidvania games, watch these videos and I will see you after the jump.